Hi, everybody. I'm Skip Alzheimer, and welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show. Oh, hey, here I am. Yeah, that was awesome. Beautiful micro photography and time lapse photography there. That always gets me. Really stunningly great. And that was from the Mogul Brothers collection, which ultimately this was a British film company that I believe that made this. So it's pretty great. So we watch old 16mm films, as I mentioned, and this one I tried to show yesterday, but then I realized that I forgot to actually link it from the hard drive. So here it is, Heat for Beginners. Enjoy.
The sun is hot. It gives off heat. Can you think of other things that give off heat? We know some things that give off heat, don't we? But how do we know? That's one way of telling, isn't it? We can tell by how heat feels. Can you think of another way of telling when something gives off heat? We can boil water with heat. What about heat from the sun? Is there a way of boiling water with heat from the sun? Perhaps if we focus the sunlight with a magnifying glass. Heat from the sun boils water. With some ice, frozen water, and some other heated water, we can learn about something else heat does. What happens as the heated water is poured on the ice? Heat passes from the hot water to the cold ice. The hot water becomes cooler. The ice becomes warmer and melts. Can you think of other things that melt when they're heated? Making things melt. This is a way heat changes things. What will happen to the melted wax when it cools? It becomes hard once again. Here's a solid piece of lead, a kind of metal. Can it be melted too? It takes a lot of heat to melt lead. Now we're pouring the melted lead into a mold. What do you suppose will happen to the lead inside the mold? Now the lead is cooler. It has formed tiny figures, figures of solid lead. Lead, like other materials we've seen, becomes a liquid when heated, then becomes a solid once again when cooled. What other things happen to solids when they're heated? We can find out with a solid aluminum rod with a balloon near one end. The balloon is almost touching the end of the rod, which has a sharp point. If the rod were longer, it would break the balloon. What might cause the rod to get longer, to expand? Will heat do it? Heat made the metal expand. What about a liquid? Will the liquid in this flask expand when heated? The liquid rises into the tube. The liquid expands when heated. Now, watch as heating stops. The liquid goes back down again, doesn't it? As the liquid cools, it shrinks back into the flask, the way it was before it was heated. What about gases? Gases that make up air. There is air in the bottle and air in the plastic bag. Will air expand when heated? Air expands when it's heated. What about when it's cooled? The air goes back to the way it was. A marshmallow shows us another way heat changes things. Will the marshmallow ever change back to the way it was before it was cooked? You've probably seen heat used to make popcorn. Will the popped corn ever change back to the way it was before it was popped? What about some eggs when they're heated? Will they ever change back to raw eggs again? Now, let's think about something else. How heat gets to the eggs. Through the metal pan. How fast does heat pass through metal? We'll do an experiment with a piece of metal and a pad of soft material, the same thickness as the metal. Will heat pass through the soft pad as quickly as through the metal? Let's find out. On top of each, we'll place a glass dish. And in each dish, an ice cube. Heat passes very quickly through the metal, melting the ice cube. The metal is a conductor of heat. The ice cube on the pad isn't melting as fast. It takes much longer for heat to pass through the pad of soft material. It's a kind of insulation. We wouldn't use insulation to make a frying pan. We use a conductor. Metal conducts heat quickly to all parts of the pan, including the handle. There's a danger of getting burned if we grab the handle directly. A pad made of insulating fabric protects our hand. Can you think of other insulating materials we use? Gloves insulate our hands from the cold. Another use of insulation is in the walls of a house. Insulation is placed in walls of many homes when they're built. On hot summer days, insulation keeps heat from moving into a house, keeping it cool inside. In the winter, Insulation keeps heat from moving out of a house, keeping it warm inside. Can you see how insulation might make a home more comfortable? Can you think of some other uses for insulation? It helps to know which things are heat insulators and which things are heat conductors. What else can you remember about heat? What are some ways heat changes things? What things give off heat? How much can you remember about heat and what it does?
Can you remember about heat and what it does? It's an interesting recap question. Some of these educational films, so they have a very set structure: introduction, then explanation, then recap, and the recap kind of revisits the introduction and then kind of provides you with some parting thoughts. So fascinating. All right. What else do we want to see here? Oh yeah, so this is another one. So I scanned this film and I kind of left the perfs, which will be on this side of the screen, and the soundtrack, which is going to be on this side of the screen. So you get a sense of what it looks like. The soundtrack, of course, is an optical soundtrack, and you have a little optical reader, and you have a light, which is called an exciter bulb, and the light shines through the waveform on the soundtrack, and there's a little I'm not sure what the electronic component is. Old radios, you know what it is? It modulates and creates an audio sound, and so you get to see that it's offset, and you'll see that there's a correlation between what's being said and what the waveforms look like. So here's human body, nutrition, and metabolism. Enjoy.
Ever since we were children, we have known that a balanced diet of food is necessary to keep us healthy. Now, in our teens, we're probably wondering why a balanced diet is necessary for good health. To answer that question, we'll define the words nutrition and metabolism. We'll define metabolism first. This boy is taking a test that will tell the doctor something about the energy requirements of the boy's body. This is done by determining the boy's basal metabolism. Basal metabolism, which is being recorded on this graph, is a measurement of energy, specifically the amount of energy released when the body is at rest. Like all of us, this boy requires energy for the hundreds of chemical processes which take place within his body's billions of cells. Energy is needed to build and repair body cells. All the cell building and repairing processes and all the energy-producing processes that go on within the body are called metabolism. Basal metabolism is the minimum rate of metabolism necessary to support minimum activity. Usually, the basal metabolism is determined by supplying oxygen to the patient through a mouthpiece. The amount of oxygen used by the patient is then recorded. Since this oxygen is used by the body to release energy, the amount of oxygen consumed can be mathematically converted to the corresponding amount of energy released in the body. This energy is expressed in terms of a unit called the large calorie. To understand this unit, let's take this example. A man weighs 200 pounds. The amount of energy required to raise him 15 feet is about the amount of energy in 1 calorie. And the adult human body generally produces every day a minimum of energy to raise this man 1,700 times. This amount of 1,700 calories is a minimum required to maintain the adult body properly, even when at rest. This amount may be less for boys and still less for girls. Using the basal metabolism, or minimum energy requirements, as a starting point, physicians can compute the active metabolism. For example, the active metabolism of a non-athletic student might be as little as 2,800 calories per day. For mechanics and others who do moderate physical work, 3,400 calories may be required each day. Athletes and others doing strenuous physical work may require as many as 6,000 calories each day for their active metabolism. These calories are produced from the foods we eat, which brings us to our second word, nutrition. Nutrition is the study of the kinds and amounts of food that are necessary to maintain proper health. All natural foods, such as these, are composed of 5 classes of chemical compounds called nutrients: carbohydrates, fats, proteins, minerals, and vitamins. The first 3 are essential energy sources. They supply the energy needed for active metabolism. Proteins, minerals, and vitamins supply essential chemicals needed by the body. Proteins are included in both groups, since they are a source of both energy and essential chemicals. Let's start with the 3 energy-producing nutrients. In their natural state, in foods such as these, the nutrients are too chemically complex to be used by the body cells. In the stomach and in the small intestine, nutrients are broken down into simple molecules which can be absorbed and used by the body cells. One of the essential energy-producing nutrients is carbohydrates, the chemical name for all kinds of sugars and starches. Table sugar and honey are pure carbohydrates. Foods rich in carbohydrates include potatoes, crackers, and bread. In the body, complex carbohydrates are digested to molecules of simple sugars. This is a diagrammed molecule of the simple sugar glucose. The diagram shows that the molecule is made up of 6 carbon atoms, 12 hydrogen atoms, and 6 oxygen atoms. When the oxygen we breathe combines with a molecule of glucose, energy is released for use by the body. In fact, each pound of glucose or other pure carbohydrate yields about 1,800 calories of energy. Another essential energy-producing nutrient is fat. Fat occurs in such foods as butter, the fat of meat, and shortening. Fats are digested to molecules of simple fatty acids, indicated by this diagrammed molecule of linoleic acid. This molecule is made up of 18 carbon atoms, 32 hydrogen atoms, and only 2 oxygen atoms. Because it has so many carbon and hydrogen atoms, when this fat molecule combines with oxygen, it releases a great deal of energy, about 4,200 calories per pound. The third energy-producing nutrient, protein, is found in lean meats, egg whites, and milk. Protein is digested into molecules of simple amino acids, indicated by this diagrammed molecule of glycine. This molecule is made up of 2 carbon atoms, 5 hydrogen atoms, 2 oxygen atoms, and a single atom of nitrogen, a chemical element not present in carbohydrates or fats. The presence of nitrogen in protein molecules makes protein an essential body chemical as well as a source of body energy. When pure protein combines with oxygen, it yields about 1,800 calories per pound. Rather than just a few favorite foods, a balanced diet, therefore, should contain proper amounts of all 3 of the energy-producing nutrients: fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. The best way to guarantee this is to eat a wide variety of natural foods every day. When eating meals, another important health rule to follow is to match calorie intake every day with energy output, that is, with active metabolism. For example, if calorie intake is too high, some of the nutrients will not be oxidized, and the excess will be stored in the body, primarily as fat. The resulting overweight may lead to poor health. On the other hand, if calorie intake is too low to satisfy the energy needs of the body, stored fat and then even vital tissues will be oxidized. The resulting underweight may also lead to poor health. This is the rule for good health. Adjust food intake to maintain the body weight recommended for your age, height, and sex. So far, we've related nutrition and metabolism to body energy. But body metabolism involves more than producing energy. Proper metabolism in any of the body's cells depends upon a wide variety of chemicals. Many of these chemicals are manufactured by the body from elements contained in molecules such as glucose, which result from the digestion of energy-producing nutrients. But certain chemicals essential to the body cannot be manufactured from these elements. These are essential chemicals which must be present in the diet. They include minerals, vitamins, and amino acids. These nutrients build new cells, repair old cells, and provide those chemicals necessary for cell function. Let's begin with the amino acids, which we saw make up protein molecules. About 20 different amino acids, each of which contains nitrogen, have been chemically isolated from proteins. 8 of these amino acids are absolutely essential to life. These essential amino acids are not easily stored in the body. So it's important that every day we eat natural foods high in proteins which contain these amino acids. Such foods include lean meats, milk, eggs, and certain vegetables. The amino acids in these foods provide the cells of our bodies with nitrogen-containing compounds essential to the chemical processes of growth and repair. Also aiding growth and repair is the second type of essential chemicals, minerals. Among these, the importance of iron and calcium can be most easily seen. Foods rich in iron are meats and eggs. After digestion, iron from these foods becomes one of the chief components of hemoglobin, which gives blood its color. Hemoglobin also plays a vital part in transporting oxygen from the lungs to the tissues of the body. Another system of the body, the skeletal system, uses the mineral calcium. Large amounts of calcium are needed during the early years of life for the formation of bones and teeth. Among the foods rich in calcium are milk, cheese, and most vegetables and fruits. Many of these same foods contain the third type of essential chemicals, vitamins. Demonstrations with laboratory animals will show why we need vitamins. These mice are healthy and alert. They will be fed, over a period of weeks, a diet containing adequate amounts of all vitamins. These mice are also healthy and alert, but no B vitamins will be included in their diet. After several weeks, the animals fed sufficient amounts of vitamins are still alert and in good health. However, the animals which have not received B vitamins are clearly sick indeed. Through thousands of similar experiments, scientists have determined that vitamins supply chemicals necessary for proper metabolism. In this film, we have seen how certain nutrients in food are necessary for metabolism. We have learned of some of the chemical substances which make up these nutrients. We also have seen how doctors determine how much energy from food our bodies need to function properly. And throughout the picture, we have related these points to nutrition and metabolism, and what these concepts mean to your good health.
All right, sorry about the intentionally malnourished rat footage. I forget that sometimes shows up in some of these films. All right, so this next film this was a film that I thought for sure was a goner, as far as it was too warped to run on the scanner behind me. It was too warped to run in a projector, but we were able to use it with our laser graphics scanner, which has a warp gate, which actually what it does is the film is kind of doing like this. Doing like this on the gate. And this is a clamp that comes down and kind of makes it more stable. It basically clamps on the edges of the film and not the middle part of the film, so that you don't scratch the film. So here is Darlington 500, the 7th annual race. Enjoy it. This is early NASCAR.
70 roaring automobiles and 70,000 roaring fans. 30 beauty queens in a race to win South Carolina's most sought-after beauty crown. Horsepower on wheels, the greatest assembly of horsepower since the days of Confederate cavalry. Mechanics, their magic wrenches tune stock passenger automobiles for 500-mile runs at speeds up to 120 miles an hour. Drivers, the greatest stock car pilots in America, flipping a wheel around the high-banked asphalt track at Darlington, South Carolina. All this and much more as the stars and bars unfurl in southern skies, a symbol of the greatest stock car racing contest of the year. Long before race day, long before qualifications, the fastest cars ever to leave Detroit assembly lines are shaking down, ready to meet the challenge of a 500-mile run. This is a once-a-year classic, the World Series of stock car auto racing. This race and others like it have become the nation's greatest testing ground of automobiles and accessories. And 13 makes of cars are ready to meet the challenge of the mile and 3/8 track, the fastest stock car racing arena in the world. After practice comes the first test, qualification. Number 3 and number 92 wait at the starting line. Both cars prepared by master mechanic Smokey Unick. Number 3, Paul Goldsmith, a rookie who drove sensationally in high-speed experimental tests run at this track earlier in the year. These qualifying runs are important. They determine position in the starting lineup for the race. Fastest man starts at the front of the field, and Goldsmith wants a top spot. He eases his Chevrolet to the first turn, coming up to racing speed. He's ready and on his run. Goldsmith's first lap sets a new record, better than 115 miles an hour. Into the long backstretch, Goldsmith is pouring it on. And after 4 record-breaking laps, comes up with a checkered flag with a new track record. Goldsmith qualifies at an average speed of 116 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour better than last year's record. A man to beat, 3-time Southern 500 winner, Herb Thomas, ready to qualify a new Chevrolet. This car carries the same number that Thomas has made famous in stock car racing competition across the nation. He's up to speed, and the quiet Carolina countryside echoes to the mighty roar of his engine. Thomas qualifies. He roars toward the checkered flag at the end of a 4-lap run at 115 miles an hour. A Ford to the line with Marvin Panch at the wheel. His hood painted with the sign 260 horsepower. And Panch can handle that power. His practice runs have been fast. Panch takes the green flag and begins to travel. And records only an hour old are smashed beneath the driving wheels of number 8. Panch meets the checkered flag at an average speed just short of 117 miles an hour. The sound of record-shattering runs bring mechanics and crewmen to the pit wall as Speedy Thompson rolls out in a Chrysler 300B. Speed's first lap is 119.2 miles an hour. His 4-lap average an amazing 118. A tribute to high-performance engine. 7 years ago, top qualifying speed was a mere 82 miles an hour. This sums up the challenge to mechanics of cars not yet qualified. Although these cars are strictly stock, there's a lot of work between showroom and speed trial. No one knows better than Tim Flock, twice NASCAR national champion, and his brother, mechanic Bob Flock. Tim drives this Ford. How fast will it run? Only 3 more days of qualification to find out. Within those 3 days, this chassis will be ready to race. Skilled mechanics will drop in an engine, tune it, send it out for practice, and tear it down again in a never-ending search for speed, endurance, and dependability. Parts, accessories, fuels, lubricants, all must withstand the test of competition here in the toughest contest in the automotive world. These mechanics literally eat and sleep with their machines. Even Smokey Unick, with 2 cars already qualified, works round the clock getting ready for the 500-mile grind. Unick can tell us something about the problems the Chevrolet entries face here at Darlington. Let's listen to it.
A good mechanic takes the very best of everything that he can get and use and makes sure that he uses it to the best advantage. A lot of us fellows figure that 500 miles at Darlington is equivalent to 50 to 60,000 miles on the road. On this particular racetrack, the grit and the rubber and the dust that's in the air could completely ruin an engine even before you went 500 miles. Outside the racetrack, I run a garage, and we have a big problem about dust eating up engines, and the air filters that are used in production as a rule are not adequate. So we have to keep looking around for better products, and we found that this Purelator paper-type filter did a better job than anything else we've ever had with an increase in horsepower. So that's what we really go for.
John Holman, top mechanic on Ford entries, puts it this way.
I'm really impressed with this Purelator job. I know that we would be almost dead ducks if we didn't have the thing, because we're running sometimes as many as 3 races a week with the same car, and we have to have something that'll help us keep our maintenance work to a minimum. If we didn't have Purelator with that air cleaner, we would probably be replacing engines every race, as all the other boys in the racing business know that run this circuit every week, that there's only one air cleaner and oil filter, and that's Purelator.
As soon as mechanic and driver are satisfied they can really go, they go. Buck Baker, teammate of Speedy Thompson, eases his Chrysler 300B into a qualifying run, climbing the high bank at better than 117 miles an hour. And there goes yesterday's record. One lap complete at 120 miles an hour, and a full run at an average of 119.6 miles an hour, almost 8 miles faster than last year's record. As Baker roars across the finish line, the starter's signal goes to Tim Flock, last year's record setter. Flock moves his Ford smoothly in his run. Back in the pits, Buck Baker and his crew are jubilant with the new record. Tim Flock qualifies at 116 miles an hour, 4 miles better than last year, yet incredible as it seems, almost. Behind the scenes, inspectors check every car making a qualification attempt. These cars are certified stock within the rules set down by the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. When the race is over, the first 5 finishers are rechecked against stock specifications. After qualification, the cars are impounded, and 24-hour-a-day guards make sure that there is no tampering with qualified cars. The parade of speed runs continue. Late qualifier Curtis Turner averages 118 1/2 miles an hour in a Ford. His car is one of 20 that cracked Tim Flock's record of a year ago. When qualifications end and the dust settles, 70 cars are impounded, the fastest field ever to compete in a stock car contest. There is a different kind of contest, though, the night before the race. Specifications here are just as important as in race cars, and everything is strictly stock, especially the chassis. Tim Flock, who has never had any trouble at track, seems to be suffering from eye strain. Here on the main straightaway, these girls are competing for the title Miss Southern 500 and the privilege of ruling as queen of the race. The competition is terrific. Fonty Flock, another judge, just can't make up his mind. These contestants are all South Carolina girls who... Fonty spots a winner. It's 19-year-old Robin Williamson. As the scene is recorded for history by the Bell and Howells, Queen Williamson receives her crown from last year's title holder. Meet the queen of the race, Miss Southern 500. Race morning, and the country roads for miles around are jammed with fans who camped out to get an early start. The parking lots are packed by sunup, and the main grandstand is filled with spectators who bought tickets months ago. The raw earth alongside the back straightaway was tossed there as a new grandstand seating 15,000 was built and sold out. The last chance for a good seat is in the infield, where you bring the fixings and build them as you need them. Neighbor, lend a hand, and we'll both see the race. The crowd is enormous, and the National Championship High School Band of Georgetown, South Carolina, makes them welcome in true Southern style. They all look right at home. This band has won 2 national titles in the past year for its sparkling performance. But as 70,000 fans look on, they make way for the main show as the cars are signaled out of their pits to the starting line. Joe Weatherly, racing for Pete DePaulo, former Indianapolis winner. Weatherly's teammate, Curtis Turner, has led in every Southern 500, but never at the finish. Fireball Roberts, a spectacular blowout, stopped him last year. Buck Baker, fastest in the field. Fonty Flock, winner in 1952, anxious to roll. He ran 1 qualifying lap at 120 miles an hour. They're ready now. Next to the official Purolator car is Speedy Thompson, number 57. Panch is in number 8, and Bill Amick in 97 on the outside. All cars are started and begin the pace lap, which gives the drivers a chance to line up in proper position before coming down past the starting line at better than 90 miles an hour. They're moving smoothly past the main grandstand into the first turn, a mighty parade of power. These high-performance machines are ready for anything. the dust and dirt kicked up by each car, the high bank turns which put a premium on car control, the long straightaways where drivers demand full power. Because of the large starting field, half the pit areas have been placed along the backstretch facing the new grandstand. The first time this plan has been used on an American racetrack. The third turn, ready now for 500 miles of performance. A year's performance packed into one afternoon. They're running for the largest purse ever offered in stock car racing competition. Here they come. The race is on. The front runners roar away, leaving a dust and grit-filled tornado as they head for the first turn. Engine number 8 jams his Ford to the lead. Thompson's Chrysler is a close second. Goldsmith's Chevrolet is third. Down the backstretch, Pant shows the field his tailpipe. He roars into the front stretch, carrying a new record for the first lap of 115 miles an hour as other cars spring out. Thompson is challenging, and the big Chrysler passes to take the lead. Can't last. Thompson is traveling 20 miles an hour faster than the track record for the full 500 miles. The leaders begin to overtake the stragglers. Thompson leading away past slower cars like an express train. But Panch hangs on, and he's catching him. As Goldsmith holds on to third, Panch roars down the backstretch to grab the lead. Number 86, Tim Flock, has moved through the field to challenge Amick for fourth place. Thompson in 57 gets next to the rail and throws coal on the fire. He passes and is back in first place. There's a car in trouble. Arden Mount slows down and moves away from the guardrail, away from the high bank to give faster cars the right of way. Most drivers travel inches away from the outside guardrail. It's a long way around, but it's faster. Arden Mounts heads for the pits, out of the race. Mansion number 8 has taken back the lead, roaring through the first 10 laps, 114.9 miles an hour. Thompson won't go along. He eases off the pace, saving his car for the full 500-mile run. But Tim Flock in number 86 wants to run in front, moving through the field like a veteran at 115 miles an hour and hounding rookie Goldsmith for third place. But Goldsmith in number 3 can run like a rabbit when he has to. Tim Flock has trouble of his own as Curtis Turner, third fastest qualifier, whips number 99 into 5th position. Joe Weatherly finds himself traveling 70 miles an hour backwards before he scrapes to a stop against the retaining wall. His number 9, his teammate, the Turner's 99. Weatherly's a sitting duck out there as 100-mile-an-hour traffic bears down, but his fellow drivers manage to get around him. Weatherly finds a break in traffic and heads for the pits and a new tire. He's not through racing. Curtis Turner takes 99 high into the groove, passing Flock to take 4th. Herb Thomas drives a steady, relentless race. Smokey Unick puts the stopwatch on him. Herb and Smokey run a waiting race, running against the clock, not against the front runner. Trouble on the backstretch. Jack Smith sets a new speed record for traveling sideways. A 300-foot slide ends a few feet from the guardrail, but he's heading right back. The yellow caution signal momentarily slows the pace, and Tim Flock heads for his pit and a precautionary tire change. Time spent in the pits is counted against each driver, and with traffic moving past at 110 miles an hour, your pit crew has to be fast. Thomas makes his first scheduled pit stop. His super service station moves into action. two-time Indianapolis winner, handles the windshield cleaning chores. The film of dust and grit can be cut with a knife. In seconds, Herb Thomas is on his way, picking up speed as the green flag sends the field into high speed. Leading the pack is number 8, Marvin Panch at the wheel. Coming out of the second turn, Curtis Turner passes Goldsmith to take second place. Turner in a Ford is really traveling, but Panch passes him where he finds them, piling up prize money as he holds first place. Herb Thomas meets the guardrail head-on, then spins twice after he's struck from the rear by another car. Thomas keeps the car under control and eases his battered machine towards the pits as the yellow flag slows the field. But Fireball Roberts in number 22 hasn't seen the signal to slow down. He barrels through the turn and plows into number 98. Danny Lettner punches through the steel guardrail, but he's not injured. Fireball Roberts, number 22, is disabled and limps into the infield. Once they hook up the tow truck, there isn't much chance for any more racing. But Thomas has brought number 92 to the pits under his own power, and his crew goes to work. Thomas wants to run again. Smokey Unick is a fighting mechanic who isn't going to throw away all that pre-race effort without a fight. In a matter of minutes, a new radiator is fitted to the battered machine. But those minutes are precious. Roaring past the pits, Curtis Turner rips off laps at 110 miles an hour. Thomas is racing again. It may not look pretty, but it can run and run fast. To Thomas and his mechanic, it's the most wonderful sight in the world. Panch still sets the pace. Turner in number 99 is only 51 seconds behind. There's a mix-up in the second turn. Oops, pardon me. No damage. Now all he needs is tailwind. Panch is slowing down. He's heading into his pit on the backstretch. Each leading lap is worth extra prize money for Panch, but high-speed running has worn his tires. As his crew set to work on the double, a purple and white blur streaks out of the turn into the backstretch. Curtis Turner is blasting by the stragglers to take first place. The seconds tick away for Panch. Number 26, a Mercury with Jim Pascal at the controls, takes over second behind Turner. Billy Myers and another Mercury sends number 14 roaring into third place. At last, Panch gets away. His pit stop drops into fourth place. Pascal firmly settled in second place. Billy Myers, his teammate, close behind in third. 250 miles and no let-up. Pascal, Myers, and Turner trade the lead at a furious pace. Records are smashed at every distance. And still lap speeds climb higher, higher. A cloud of dust, 30 feet of missing guardrail. One car unaccounted for, another crippled. Then a gas tank torn loose from the disabled car by the shock of collision is crushed by another car and ignites. In seconds, a chain of events that can lead to disaster confronts every driver hurtling into the corner. The missing car is Bill Brown's. It pitched over a 26-foot embankment and lies wrecked, although the driver is all right. But Larry Flynn is still in his car. A trail of gasoline is splashed across the asphalt toward his wreck. The column of smoke warns all other cars on the track, and skillful driving lessens the danger of a pileup. There's Flynn. He's out of danger. Keeps the field at half speed as the fire is brought under control and the track clear. The as the green flag signals for high speed, Curtis Turner rolls into his pit for fuel and fresh tires. His crew work with trained precision, hoping to roll Turner out before second place number 26 moves into the lead. On the other side of the track, number 26 with Pascal at the wheel also pits. The fight for the lead and perhaps the race may be decided now in the pits by the competing crews. Is Turner in trouble? The hood is up on number 99. Turner has led every Southern 500 race, but mechanical trouble kept him from finishing at the top. Pascal's crew is working fast, and Pascal is itching to let it run. Turner's hood is down, and he rolls out, back on the track and back in the lead. Pascal's crew send him on his way. His stop cost him 3 positions, but with a full gas tank and fresh tires, he's still a challenge to front-running Turner. Billy Myers now is in second place, but he's still half a lap behind Turner. Thompson in 57 is third. Panch in number 8, right behind him. Pascal is charging, making up for lost time. Win Staley nudges the guardrail and stops broadside in the groove, that invisible lane that most drivers find the fastest and smoothest way around, the lane that draws the 100-mile-an-hour traffic. Traffic slips by. Many of the cars forced to dent the guardrail, avoiding a collision. Billy Myers gives up second place in order to make a pit stop, and the same crew that serviced Pascal now turns to his teammate. The third member of the Mercury stable, Fonty Flock, winner in 1952, lead-foots it down the backstretch, one of racing's toughest competitors. But Turner is tougher, passing Speedy Thompson in number 57. He has a full lap lead on second place. Thompson's teammate, Buck Baker, has run out of luck. The fastest qualification speed doesn't mean a thing when too many pit stops slow you down. Turner is mopping up the field, picking up some help from his teammate, Joe Weatherly, in number 9. Herb Thomas is still running and running well. A real tribute to driver, mechanic, and equipment. Time lost in pit stops is hard to make back, and Smokey Unick's hopes lie now with Paul Goldsmith, running like a veteran in 5th position. A spin! And a recovery. Ross Howard finds out the hard way how it feels to be on ice. Speedy Thompson pits for tires. Thompson has driven beautifully, pacing himself through the afternoon, saving himself and his car. He's holding his Chrysler in second place, even though Marvin Panch in a Ford is trying to move up from third. Thompson is ready to race again, picking up speed slowly, watching for Turner, who continues to set the pace and set new records as he goes. Turner has better than a lap lead on the next 3 places. Thompson, Panch, and Goldsmith. But Turner keeps his throttle wide open. He's determined to win going away. Old 99 comes up on Goldsmith, laps the field again, and still refuses to slow down. Lap by lap, Turner opens up his leads, smashing all existing stock car records for the distance. He's giving the fans something to remember. One of the greatest runs for the checkered flag ever seen. Even winners like Fonty Flock in car 15 can't do more than keep up with Turner. There's the white flag pointing at Turner, and old 99 roars down the straightaway to begin the last lap. Straightaway is on its feet as Turner lead-foots it through the third turn. Curtis Turner wins his first Southern 500 going away. The time around, Turner takes 1 lap for insurance before rolling toward the winner's circle. Turner is a wealthy Virginia lumberman who races for the sport of racing, the solid satisfaction of rewriting the record books. His new record for 500 miles is better than 95 miles an hour. 5 makes of automobiles were represented in the first 10 finishes, a tribute to performance of all automotive products tested here. And Purolator is proud of the part it played in helping Curtis Turner win this greatest of all stock car races. For Curtis, like 9 out of 10 NASCAR drivers, depends on Purolator oil and air filters to keep flying grit from wrecking his engine. Years of outstanding performance have proven Purolator best on the racetrack and on the highway. To protect your engine, insist on Purolator oil filters and air filters. Race proved best for every make of car.
Thank you, Dynamic Films and Purolator air filters and oil filters, for capturing that exciting race event. So I don't know if you noticed, there was the little warp, like how that would change, and that's the dimensionality of the film was changing over time, and you notice it started getting more and more shrunk. And the soundtrack was like a little bit, because again the soundtrack is warbly, because the film is warbly, and the color was doing what we call color breathing, where each frame the color has faded inconsistently across the frame, and so this is what happens with vinegar syndrome, where the film begins to get the base begins to break down and release acetic acid, which is the vinegar smell, and the film begins to warp a little bit and cup and shrink a little bit. And so that film is now in the trash can. You might say it's due to the content, but it's because that was its last hurrah. So somebody's going to be happy to see their daughter as Miss Darlington 500. But yeah, a film from the, what was that, 50s, 60s, about NASCAR, before it was NASCAR. Maybe it's of interest, but if I post it online, somebody's going to get excited because they're going to see a racer, or they're going to see something that they recognize in it. And that's kind of why we do what we do, which is we collect these films, but only so that we can show them. So thank you for joining us and watching, even if you weren't really interested in it. That's fine. I don't show everything that's great. Sometimes I show stuff I don't like, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to show it because somebody out there might get really excited about it. But if you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up button, or the like button, or the super thanks button, which is in the comments in YouTube. You can also go to patreon.com/avgeeks or ko-fi.com/avgeeks, and that will buy us some coffee. That money goes towards many, many things, like flash drives and cases. I put it in a DVD case because I can mail it and people won't lose it. So that's where your money goes. Thanks again. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday, right? Or no, Friday, right? Woohoo, Friday. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.